Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the Dodge Attitude. Now, if you're not familiar with the Dodge Attitude and you haven't been following me on Mopar Insiders or here on the channel, I've talked about it quite a bit. It's a compact sedan that Dodge sells in Mexico and exclusively to Mexico. However, it's actually a Chinese-produced sedan. It is actually a GAC Trumpchi Empow, and it's been rebadged as a Dodge. But in Mexico, it has become one of the top 10 selling sedans. It also has become Dodge's #1 selling vehicle down there. So there's a lot of attention on this car south of the border. With that being said, we've talked about this car for the last year on the channel and on Mopar Insiders quite a bit. So it actually, this is one of the articles, this is probably like the second or third article I wrote about it. This is back in September of 2024. This is when it actually hit dealers. Now, the interesting thing about this car is, again, the reason why it's getting a lot of attention is it offers a lot of content, modest horsepower, so about 185 horsepower, but it has a turbocharged 1.5 liter 4-cylinder engine. But the thing is the cost. So there's 3 trim levels, and it starts out at about what would be the equivalent of $23,000 US, and the top of the line model goes for about $29,000. So again, it's not passing $30,000 in the US, like what would be equivalent to $30,000 in the US, but it's a very attractive vehicle. So again, gaining a lot of attention, doing really good in sales down there. There's been a lot of hype about it, and Dodge has been very, very aggressive about how they've been marketing this car. So if you go to another article I wrote in November, Mopar has actually come out with a bunch of accessories for the car. And again, they are trying to be as aggressive as possible in the Mexican market for it. Then we talked in January. They actually launched a limited edition, basically 300 units of this green color. And again, this was just a standard color on the Empow, but it came over as a limited edition called the Green Hornet, and that caught a lot of buzz too. No pun intended. But now we're learning some new information. So back a couple of, well, I would say about a month or so ago, I kind of seen Dodge Mexico market the car as the Attitude RT, and I'm like, did they come up with a new model? So I reached out to Dodge Mexico. I never heard back from them, and I just kept digging and digging, but I kept seeing everything was Attitude RT. So I figured, did they get rid of the base, SXT, the mid-range Sport, or they just renamed the GT, which is the top of the line one, as the RT? Well, it was none of that. Instead, they have relaunched the car as the Attitude RT. So we're used to having the RT nameplate as like a 5.7 liter Hemi on the Challenger, Charger, and Durango. We're also used to it being the RT in the top of the line, Journey and Grand Caravan. But down there, they're actually using it as the nameplate. And the reason why is a very interesting one. So I did some research. I contacted Dodge Mexico again, and finally I heard back from them. And what they told me was that they actually had to rebrand the car, not because of trademarks or anything like that, because people were kind of confusing the name, because the Attitude name down there has been kind of synonymous for being an economy, like kind of an econo box car, not very attractive. And even just a couple years ago, we were writing about it on Mopar Insiders. This is the last version of it before the current one. And this was another rebadged car. This was a Mitsubishi Mirage G4. And what they did was they actually just rebadged it with a Dodge grill in Mexico. Now, it was a pretty good seller for Dodge, I will admit that, but it wasn't like any kind of attitude in it. It was just a base economy car just with the name. And unfortunately, that stigma has stuck. So Dodge, even though they're selling tons of these sedans, and this was a high seller down there too, the new Attitude, what they're trying to do is give the Dodge brand a whole new kind of look and identity going into mid-2025. So back in July, they decided, hey, we're going to rebrand the car, and now Attitude is now Attitude RT. Now that's kind of confusing because now you still have the Attitude RT SXT, the Attitude RT Sport, and the Attitude RT GT. So you can kind of see where this is going. It's kind of confusing, but again, the car is very attractive. It's ultra popular down there. And again, it's in the top 10 best-selling sedans in Mexico. And it's constantly gaining traction. But you can see just by these pictures here that the content inside the car is really nice. This is something that we kind of wish that Dodge would do here. I mean, obviously they're not going to bring a Chinese sedan to the US just because of all the laws and regulations between all that. But it would be very interesting if Dodge could build a similar compact sedan with modest equipment. It doesn't have to be top of the line. It just has to be, you know, you feel like you're getting a good value. And this would be a great entry-level car for the brand here in the US. If you look at the interior is very sporty. Not a lot of features, but it's got like, you know, Android Auto, wireless CarPlay. It has like a nice actual digital screen cluster. The interior looks very sporty. It's got like faux carbon fiber, aluminum accents, red stitching in the GT. You know, it's just it's a really sharp looking car. And again, they did a pretty good job about kind of rebranding it, other than just like where the Mitsubishi Mirage based attitude just had a Circle Dodge badge thrown on the steering wheel. They actually made their own airbag covers for this car. The car has unique badging. So again, it's a very sporty car for the price. Now, this is something, again, like I said, it would be good to see if Dodge could do something or replicate this here in the US. There's a couple plants that could build something like this. But again, with a Stella Medium platform in that, if they took and just brought a car that's, again, down on the lower end of the range, meaning, you know, price-wise, but offer decent content. And again, not top-of-the-line content, but decent content. It would be a fast seller here in the United States. So again, the power is not that, you know, this isn't like a horsepower race in this car. It's only got about 180 horsepower. It's got a 1.5-liter turbo engine, and it's got a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission in it. So a lot of people don't like dual clutches here in the States, but nonetheless, this is a pretty good setup down in Mexico. But you can see just from the interior images and all that, how sporty this car is. It's got, the GT model actually has a really aggressive rear wing with a camera built into it. So again, you're getting modest equipment. But the top-of-the-line car tops out about it tops out about $28,300. So, I mean, that doesn't include tax in that, but you include tax in that, you're about 30 grand. Something that Dodge doesn't have here. If you look at the US market, the cheapest vehicle they have right now is the Durango GT with the Hemi, and that starts at $42,000. So Dodge doesn't even have anything not only in the $30,000 range right now, because the Hornet has been suspended because of how the trade, tariffs are going and stuff like that. So Dodge has canceled, well, not canceled, but suspended the Hornet. So there's none of those being built. So right now, the cheapest Dodge is $42,995 before tax, title, destination, all that stuff. So realistically, Dodge is not an affordable brand anymore. And something like this would actually, be very beneficial to the US. But again, it's very interesting that they would rebadge the Attitude name as Attitude RT. I just think it's kind of weird. It's kind of confusing in a way. I don't know, but they're hoping that it pulls away from that Econobox, kind of stigma. So tell me what you think. What do you think of this whole attitude adjustment, is what I'm calling it, for the Dodge Attitude RT? Leave your comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Ven a disfrutar de la potencia y el gran interior del totalmente nuevo Dodge Attitude RT. Solo del 28 al 31 de agosto, acelera con Attitude y recibe un bono adicional de 5,000 pesos más la promo del mes al realizar tu prueba de manejo. Acelera con Attitude. Dodge.